So I've had this journal for 4 years, 2015 to 2018. It's gotten me through so many things. It survived the fire. Guess what the last frickin' entry is?
Oh, no.
This has ruined my journal.
Oh, man. You have to, in Chamber of Secrets when they stab the page with the big snake tooth. You gotta get yourself a basilisk
Gotta
fang.
find myself a basilisk fang for the kissing booth entry.
Hello, people who like romantic comedies. Welcome to The Meet Cute, where we talk about all things romantic comedies, but mostly the bad ones. My name is Zach.
Oh, I'm Haley. Hi.
And I'm also Edward.
You're also Edward.
I'm also Edward. There's some more of you out there. I know.
There's probably anher Edward.
There's some people named Edward out there who are just itching for representation in media, and we got you.
Oh, there's one of us out there.
So we could just probably hop right into it, unless there's any thoughts about anything, politics.
Just want to say this is not going to be a good episode for me. This movie ruined my life.
Okay, so we are watching a movie. I forgot what it's called already.
It is the Netflix original movie, mind you, The Kissing Booth. It came out May 11th, 2018, so it's a real freshie.
So soon, yeah.
It was written and directed by a man named Vince, which after you've seen the film makes a lot of sense.
I was wondering who wrote it, because it felt like 8 different people wrote it, but they never met.
They were just doing it over like Google Chat.
Yeah, like the draft is due when it's due. Just get it in.
So we sat down and we watched The Kissing Booth, based on The Kissing Booth by Beth Reckles. It's a book, guys. We can read it.
It was a book that we can't read? Nice.
I'm happy it was a book first, and then so that there wasn't like a novelization after.
Oh, because there would be.
Where like the cover is like
the movie poster.
And it's like now a minor motion picture on Netflix.
So it was directed by, as you said, a guy named Vince Marcello. He doesn't have a link under his name, which makes me believe he doesn't have any other projects that we can look up, which is good.
But hey, I mean, it's a first project he got on Netflix. That's pretty solid.
That's good.
Vince, if you actually have any other projects, please reach out to us. I am interested in hearing about your work.
Interested in hearing about your body of work. So according to Wikipedia, the first person starring in this film is Molly Ringwald, who has maybe 7 lines.
Yeah, by no means is she the star of this movie.
No means at all. It stars Joey King, a girl?
Yep, there you go. All right.
I don't know anything about her.
Yeah, she was in Wish Upon.
2017.
Nobody?
Written and directed by probably a guy named Vince. She was in the first season and briefly in the second season of Fargo on FX, and she was great ensemble cast.
She was in that Ramona and Beezus film as one of them.
Either Beezus
She had
Ramona.
a titular role. We're just not sure which one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then she was in that Zach Braff film where she had pink hair. Did she have pink hair or did Zach Braff have pink hair?
She had like a purple wig or something.
Wish You Were Here, and it was the one he funded on Kickstarter.
Because
he needed that help.
Wish movies.
Yeah, she's doing a lot of like wishing, maybe not a lot of working.
Okay.
She's successful.
She's
Anyway,
doing way better than us, and she's only 18, so...
Yeah. Let's dive right into it. So it starts off with some sassy teen narration. Joey King plays Elle. She's got her best friend, Lee. They were born on the same day, and they both love to dance. And by love to dance, I mean love to play like Dance Dance Revolution.
The same Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah.
That has been, I guess, for how old are they in the movie? 16?
Well, they were born together, but they were born together, and they end up being juniors in high school.
Okay. Yeah.
Where we leave off in the movie.
For at least 16 to 17 years, they've been dancing on the same Dance Dance Revolution.
No formal training, just essentially beating the same video game for most of their lives. So she starts the kind of narration. She's kind of explaining the dynamic. Essentially, her family and Lee, her best friend's families, are very close. He has a hot older brother named Noah, who is a year older than them and a foot taller.
And like
And
20
2
years
feet
older.
wider.
And like, yeah, so much more developed as just like a human. And she's doing, what I found weird about this sort of montage at the beginning is that there's a lot of turns like, we love to dance, we always have ice cream, we're on the same committee. My mom got sick. And the music cuts out.
Yeah.
And it's like takes a very sharp turn to her mom getting sick, and then we go right back into the fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a weird joke montage, and then a sentence where she's like, my mom's sick, and then I, fart in the bathtub. My mom died, and here I am with my best friend.
And trying on my first bra.
Yeah.
Like, growing up montage mixed in with the death of the mother, which isn't important to the story at all. Like, we could have kept her alive.
We have lemonade in the summer. My dad's afraid he'll never find another companion.
I like the pink lemonade best.
Sometimes I ride my bike. I hear him crying at night.
Vince, for the sequel, please call us up.
To kissing to Booth. So there's this whole montage, and it almost feels like an SNL sketch of just like cliche montage, and then she said goodbye.
Then I had to say goodbye to my mother forever,
Yeah,
and my
just-
life was never the same.
Just
Except it was. Backpack Dance Revolution.
making my dreams come true. There's a scene that they start off at the pool and at Lee and Noah's ridiculous house.
The richest person's house in the world. It's one of those flat ones, It's all white and glass, and there's no roof. It's just like squares.
It doesn't feel like a home.
No.
Like you wouldn't be like, oh, my childhood home. It feels like,
A movie set.
yeah, if
Or
it's
a museum, even.
Yeah.
like a cultural center. And they have a nice pool, and Joey King is sitting at the pool, and she's like, where's Lee? And then he yells, Geronimo, 16-year-old, and jumps off the roof into the pool. And my first thought was, what if he missed and landed on the concrete and flat out died, and the rest of the movie was like about that?
That would be the sharp turn.
That's the exact note I wrote. I actually wrote, Lee dies when he jumps into the pool. The end.
Directed by Vince so-and-so.
That's a dangerous jump. So we meet Noah briefly in this
Yeah.
pool scene. His voice sucks.
does
Noah's
that
speaking
mean?
voice sucks. He's this all the time. Hey, I'm the older brother, and I'm just always gonna be this gravelly. You're not
He
gonna
just
say
got back
what
from
I say."
football camp.
Yeah, that's like a big part of
And
the
they're all
movie.
like, how was football camp? As if it's an accomplishment to go to camp.
Right.
They go to
Like,
football.
Like they're acting like it's some big deal. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's
can-
done it every summer. I
Yeah.
would
you can
imagine.
sign up for this.
Yeah,
it's not
like,
like a
anyone can go.
reward. Yeah.
A really important thing that they established early on is that Elle and Lee have a list of friendship rules. Because nothing makes you feel comfortable around someone like a
Some
strict,
very strict
numbered
guidelines.
list of things you can't do.
Like a rigid code.
Like friends.
And they stick to it. They always reference it. They're like,
Yeah.
hey, remember, rule number 1.
I would be like, how about today we just enjoy each other's company?
Wouldn't that be nice?
So at this point, we've met Lee, we've met the older brother Noah. We know there's going to be conflict of some sort here because that's how movies work.
She has a big crush on Noah.
Yeah, she's
And
said it a lot in
Rule
the
number
montage.
8, rule number 7, one of those
9.
Say
It's rule number
9.
9.
Is he's off limits.
Yeah.
Can't be with Noah.
Can't be with relatives of your best friend.
And she's kind of like, as if.
Yeah.
I believe maybe. I wrote it down, so I think this might be Noah's first line is, hey, Ellie, when did you get the boobs? And the dialogue does not get better from there.
Oh, no. You're right. That's Noah's first line.
Hubba hubba.
What a killer.
She's getting dressed for the first day of school. She's dressed like the yellow man from Curious George.
I said that she's dressed like SpongeBob SquarePants.
Big yellow, big weird tie.
Oh my gosh, it was like a clown tie, like a real triangle.
Yeah, it was like it was made of construction paper.
So she's getting dressed for school. They have a school uniform. That's the SpongeBob uniform. It's fine.
It's like Disney yellow and blue is what it is.
Yeah. And she puts on her pants in the morning and they rip right in the butt.
Right in that butt.
Right in the butt area.
So we're supposed to pick up on that she is a developing woman and her pants no longer fit her bodacious bod. So instead, she puts on, you guys are making disgusted faces, but that's the movie. So she goes in her closet, puts on an old skirt, and she says the words like, "Oh no, a 10th grade skirt in a junior body." And has to squeeze into this tiny skirt. She's so embarrassed. She has to run down to her father, who's like, "Really? You're wearing that?"
He's not even like weird. He's not uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
He smiles once, I believe,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Okay."
And she does the classic movie thing where she's like, "I got no time for breakfast," and grabs a piece of toast and puts it in her mouth and starts walking with it hanging out of her mouth. I was like, manners, Elle.
So
Oh yeah, and she gets a ride to school from Lee
in his amazing car.
what has to be like a transformer of a car. It's the shiniest, nicest black and white striped car. These are rich people.
Oh, yeah.
These are the richest people
This
in the
is
world.
a privileged film.
Oh yes.
But it never comes up.
No.
This is just the life they
Of course
lead.
not. We don't need to know what the parents do. No, of course not.
So she's a developing woman. We're supposed to have noticed that she's like different now. Like, over the summer, she's become like a hot lady.
Well, the audience isn't the only one who notices. When she gets to school, everyone's like kind of whistling at her, and they're like, "Oh man, look at that skirt!" And a guy whose name is Tepin.
That's his name?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
His name is Tepin because the writers, I guess, ran out of names. 4 names in. They went, "Oh, God, I can't think of anything." The first thing comes to mind. 1, 2, 3, Tepin. We are so in sync. So Tepin, who's like a ugly, curly, long-haired
70-year-old man.
extra from 300.
No, he's supposed to be a high schooler, but he looks 38.
He is my dad. Runs up and smacks her on the butt, which made my jaw drop because I was like, "Yo, fuck that guy."
Yeah.
The hell? Like, if someone did that in high school, they would get in, hopefully, a lot of trouble.
Probably not.
Yeah, maybe not.
He kind of did though, because once he slapped her, Noah came up and was like, "Hey, don't do that." And then did they fight?
Yeah, they
I feel
fought.
like
Noah beat him up.
Yeah.
Noah, being Lee's older brother, stepped in out of nowhere and took out the guy who grabbed her booty, which she refers to as her lady bump. She tells the principal of the school, "Dude touched my lady bump."
I have no words for that.
I know, I was upset.
That's awful.
What if he was like, "Yes, and we take lady bump touching very seriously." So while they're waiting to talk to the principal, Noah says, "Wearing a skirt like that is asking for it." Hey,
Whoa!
Noah!
What is this, 1923?
Which she responded to appropriately. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
I was so worried the movie was just gonna like go off and we were just gonna accept that, but we kind of do. Let's just keep going.
So she meets these 3 girls who are called the OMG girls. They're like
Because
the
this was
popular-
written by a man.
They're essentially like the plastics from Mean Girls,
They're just the popular
but
girls.
not interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
But they also seem like they're on Quaaludes the whole time.
The whole time.
Like one of them can barely keep her eyes open, and they're just kind of like, "Where's Noah here?" They're obsessed with Noah, as if they could all date him in like in a sister wives situation.
Also, how were they not breaking the dress code? I know
Yes.
L skirt was breaking the dress code, but how? I feel like one of their boobs was out. One of them was wearing pasties, I think.
They were just walking into the club, the school, I mean.
They asked the principal, they're like, "How come they're not in trouble?" He's like, "Well, they're the OMG girls.
Did you see their lady bumps?
'Tis what to be expected of them." So Lee and Elle are trying to figure out what their club, I guess, that we never find out about.
Yeah, was it like a 2-person club? Were they in
they're in
charge
the
of
dance
something?
club at school.
That was it?
Yeah, they're in the dance club. They're like leaders of the dance club, and there's some fundraiser going on. It's like a carnival, and they have to prepare something to take in money for this carnival to fundraise for their dance club, which they might be the only ones in.
And they came up with the idea of 1, 2, 3,
A kissing booth.
And they have to like formally present it to like a
A-
cavernous room of high schoolers.
Yeah.
Oof. With the diversity quota in that club, I guess, of high schoolers.
Yeah, and right before this, Al actually goes out on a date with Tuppen.
The tap-in.
Oh, wait. Can we talk about how that came about?
Yeah.
Because so 5 minutes movie time wise.
Yeah.
After he smacked
Sexually
her lady
assaults
bum.
her.
Yeah. Yeah. They're in class and he passes a note to her that says like, "Hey, what can I do to get your number?" And she smiles, flattered. She's
Over it.
she's like happy that he did it almost, and then she's like she passes him a note back and he like smiles coyly and she smiles coyly, and then he leaves and he comes back wearing that skirt that she was wearing, or a skirt very much like it. And my note was why wasn't his penis hanging out of his skirt? That's what I want to
If her
know.
ass was hanging out of her own skirt, why
Yeah.
did we not see picking balls?
Poor Tuppen.
Vince, if you're listening, like
have
we
some
said,
notes.
meetcutecast@gmail.com. We could clear this up real quick. So they try to go out on a date. She's in a very sparkly dress, which I thought was just like a cool dress.
She's wearing a dress that I am not mature enough to wear yet. It's a dress that like a 32-year-old woman in Sex and the City would wear for a date, not a high schooler.
Well, they are the richest people ever.
Yeah.
So.
Also, I never went on a date in high school. What do you do as a high schooler on a date? Have you?
Go to
I
the
walked
movies.
around the mall. We went to a TGI Fridays, and then we walked around the mall,
Oh no.
and that was it. That was it.
God, is that like one of those like smutty novels?
Ah, yes. The mall was going out of business. There was a painting of Paris on the wall, and we sat in front of it.
Heck yeah.
Wait, is this like a
Alright.
date you asked like a girl on?
Yeah. And the only reason she said yes, I'm sure of it, is because my name was Edward, a.k.a. Edward from the Twilight series.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Did it work
was a
for
date.
you?
It was a date. So that was the thing I
Wait.
was excited about.
Wait, did that work for you? Like, was that like? Did you like capitalize on that?
Haley, he got to go to TGI Fridays and walk around the
Yeah,
mall.
buddy,
Of course,
I
it
walked
worked
around
for him.
a freaking mall, baby.
Did it work for him? God, I think it's still working.
Oh my god.
So she gets stood up by Tuppen, who then comes
I thought
to.
it was Teppin.
Let's say
know.
Teppin, because Tuppen sounds dumber than
Oh,
Teppin.
you're right.
Tuppence
Teppin
Tuppence is like a British like currency.
Tuppence.
It's like feed the birds. Tuppence a bag, you know. The bird lady from Mary Poppins.
Anyone? Mary Poppins? Nobody?
Go on.
Hey, I'm Gary Poppins. That's a character I'm workshopping.
I hope he's in the sequel that's coming
He
out.
fixes stuff around the house in like magical ways. So she gets stood up, and Teppin reveals that Noah's been going around telling everyone they can't ask Elle out, which is so not cool.
But it's super not cool because she's been like desperately trying to date any guy. Like
Yeah,
we find
'Cause
this
she's
out.
never been kissed.
She was gonna settle for
before.
Teppin.
Yeah, true. She was gonna.
Who sexually assaulted her.
Yeah.
Not 5 minutes movie time before.
And has like 4 kids and sun damage.
Look, he's got to celebrate getting rid of that skin cancer somehow.
His hair was like long strands of broom that someone put in a curler.
It's
Oh my
like
God.
a sunburnt mop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
hope
is.
the actor is a mean man so that us doing this is appropriate. Because if he's just like the
The
nicest dude.
guy. Yeah.
So oh god. So
Anyway, she's never been kissed. Blah,
she's
blah,
never been kissed. She's
they're
never
doing
been on a
kissing
date. We
booth,
find
blah,
out
blah.
that Noah, older brother Noah, is telling guys that she's off limits, which like. I mean, I guess I feel bad for her. I mean, that's controlling and terrible.
Well,
right?
I don't know. Well,
But their intentions are creepy.
I don't know. Why is he doing that? And also, at one point, she confronts him about this, and she says, "The days of you controlling me are over." Has it happened before? Is this the first time?
Yeah, it seems like a fairly new dynamic between
Yeah.
them that he's like sort of buzzing about trying to control things. It's not a good dynamic.
Well, yeah, because I
No.
feel like they weren't like close enough for anything like that to happen. There was just, there's the hot older brother.
Yeah, they were like good pals.
Like,
and
I've had friends with the hot older brother. You don't really talk to them.
close family friends. Well, I mean, we should point out though, and this is jumping forward past the they get approved for the kissing booth, and now they got to start thinking of people to get in the kissing booth, and their families have lunch together every single Sunday.
Every single Sunday.
Which is hard to coordinate for like 8 people. That's kind of a lot. But every single Sunday, Molly Ringwald and her 2 hot sons,
Oh, baby.
and her husband, who just makes a lot of money.
I don't think he had a name.
Nope.
He was husband number 1.
Gary Poppins.
Gary Poppins.
Gary Poppins. So Gary Poppins asks Noah why he got into a fight on the first day of school, which apparently Noah's in fights all the time.
Yeah.
It's like his thing. He's like, I'm masculine and I get in fights.
Yeah, that was a weird choice when he roared.
Yeah, it was a super weird choice. So Elle is all worried, like, oh no, he's gonna tell them that he like got into a fight over me. But then he doesn't, and he makes up some excuse that it was just like some guy looked at him weird, right?
Football camp?
Yeah,
I
it was
think
like a football camp thing.
Football camp.
Yeah, he's like, this football camp is such a big deal to these people.
boy.
Yeah.
I went to basketball camp when I was younger. You don't hear me telling stories about it still. I stepped on a snake one time. That's all.
On a basketball court?
Well, no, like, first, yes, they were like,
Did they
this will
release
teach you how to do it. They were like, you want to learn how to play basketball? And they pick up a pillowcase and they empty it, and it's got like 4 copperheads in it.
You gotta jump.
No, I was walking over a creek and I was walking.
It wasn't so much basketball camp as it was my parents didn't know what to do with me, so they threw me in the woods.
And I met a tribe of people who they challenged me.
Oh, boy.
Oh, they had tasks.
But I learned how to lay up. It's a basketball term.
With a human head. So they have lunch every single Sunday. And now it's party time, baby. Mm-hmm. Molly Ringwald and Gary Poppins are away for the weekend. And Lee and Noah are going to throw a huge party in their factory of a house.
Yeah. I want to take a pause and go back to Lee and Elle's relationship as friends, because in the first, like, I don't know, like half hour of this movie, I really thought it was going to end with them getting together.
Oh, in the first hour and 20 minutes of this movie, I
were
thought that they
still
were
thinking
still
that?
like, one of them was going to say, oh, I love you.
Yeah, and like I'm glad. I mean, ooh, spoilers. I'm glad they didn't, because like I think that's a really like valuable thing to have, like just like a male and female friendship in a movie, because that doesn't happen,
But
especially in romantic comedies.
Still, their relationship
It's
is
terrible.
so much like a will they, won't they? And
Yeah.
then it's almost as if they forgot the will they at the end of the movie. Like, they were supposed to be like, oh, yeah, and they get together. But then they were like, oh, we ran out of time.
Especially like early on, like they're sharing a sandwich, which, you know, I don't care how close my friend is. That's weird.
You wouldn't do that with a friend?
I don't know. I guess, you know what? Now that I think about it, who cares?
I
It's
got
a
some
sandwich.
dirty friends.
No,
so-
my thing was like, okay, I was like happy on one end. I was like, cool, that's a good thing to show. But it was shown just like them, just like being mean to each other and like being like, stop.
Well, the sandwich thing, I mean, is like they were doing that and they're like, what do you even do on a date? And the guy was like, I don't know, share food.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, they're sharing food now.
The
They're
thing-
on a
the
date.
date thing,
So I
yeah.
was like, oh, well, certainly they're going to get together.
I don't
and then
know.
they didn't. It was fine, but they kind of planted the seeds, making you think that they were.
Yeah, I mean, they danced together all the time. That was their
Yeah.
thing. There was one point where they got into like a big paint fight at school, which seems like against the
That's
rules.
what I'm
I
saying.
wrote that
It was
down. I was
like,
like,
it was all
that's
just
School
flirtatious.
supplies.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can be friends with the opposite gender, and the whole relationship isn't just like, oh, you dummy, and like
Yeah.
hitting them
you have
lightly.
conversations. I
Yeah.
feel like most of them, their conversations are like, follow the rules, and like,
Yeah, and Vince Marcello. So we killed Elle's mom. Like, a good way to establish like a friendship would be like to show something that's not just like throwing paint at each other and like talking about each other's boobs.
yeah, they've been through some things.
But they didn't show it.
No, they didn't. That's the thing.
I wrote, actually, right after the paint fight, I wrote, this is such a weird movie. So, yeah.
Anyway, so they have this big old party in their mansion, and all of the high schoolers, I guess, are there. And I say high schoolers so lightly. These are like men and women.
These are grad students.
These are grad students. There's a nerd character in the film, and he's gotta be 40 years old. He's a student, and he says some gross things, and he's gotta be a 40-year-old man.
At one point, one of the OMG girls hands Elle a shot of green liquid and says, "You will love this. It tastes like green," which is slightly funny. But then later on, she hands her a pink one and says, "This tastes like pink," and that kills the joke. And I'm like,
Yeah.
So Elle gets super drunk.
So drunk.
Super drunk. She gets on a table and she's taking her clothes off and suggesting everyone go skinny dipping.
She does this a lot in the film.
Yeah.
She takes her clothes off a lot.
Yeah, I'm kind of like getting bored of Elle getting naked and then being surprised when people find her naked. And then Noah.
That sounds different than what actually happened. Just to clarify.
No, she's always getting naked.
No,
Yeah.
she's always stripping down her
Accidentally.
underwear.
Yeah.
Through, through different circumstances. Yeah.
She's always accidentally.
Okay, yeah. And
Getting
then
naked.
And there's always, I guess, a little prudish of like, how dare you look at me in my underwear? Is
Yeah.
that kind of what you're saying?
No.
And there's a guy who's constantly taking pictures of her every time she's in her underwear.
and he says yearbook every time he takes
And
a
he's
picture.
such a creep.
Oh, I hate this
with
guy.
his iPhone 4.
Yeah, it's like you know you're a photographer when you're taking pictures on your old iPhone of things that are private and
He's
don't
like-
need to be taken.
He's like the photographer character in 13 Reasons Why. It's like they were like, oh, they have a creepy photographer guy in 13 Reasons Why. Well, we'll do that, except with an iPhone 4 guy who says yearbook all the time.
I love that reference because that means people listening to this have to also be people who have watched all of 13 Reasons Why.
Thank you, the one person who's listening to this.
There's the overlap of.
My dad's like, I don't watch 13 Reasons Why. I know what they're talking about.
So she gets super drunk. She gets naked. Everyone jumps in the pool, and she's about to pass out from being super drunk because at one point she has a pitcher of the shot liquid, which
Yeah.
means she was drinking. She had like 6 shots. I watched it, and then she had a pitcher of the shot and was drinking that. So she's about to pass out, and some mysterious figure scoops her up and brings her inside. And we get up the next morning, and she wakes up in Noah's room.
Wearing like his football jersey. And he walks in and he's like naked in a towel and he's like, "Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you." And she's like,
That's exactly what he sounds like. The whole movie.
And they get up and I don't even remember how. I don't think it
don't
matters, but
know
they end up
how.
in a curtain together.
They do the proposal thing where they slam into each other half naked, and then suddenly they're rolling around on the floor like, whoa!
Just one of you stay still, one of you stand up.
And you'll
Right,
easily get
yeah.
out of this situation.
This is easy.
It doesn't take 45 seconds to keep rolling on each other.
It was very much the director was like, all right, so fall in the curtain and then roll back and forth for like 30 seconds and just have fun with it.
They were like, "What do we say?" He's like, "Just say a lot of 'oh no' and And they did.
And we'll put in that cartoon squabble noise that goes like, wah, 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 wah.
But then they never got the rights to the noise, so it's mostly just them being like, "Would you stop? Oh, I'm trying. I don't know."
But they're clearly doing it on purpose. Like they have their arms like on the
yeah,
ready.
yeah.
It's like bad stage combat.
Yeah.
So
At one point, doesn't she say, "Oh no, I touched it," meaning his penis?
Yes.
yeah,
That's all. That's all I wanted to bring up. That's a real line in the movie.
we cut to his narration, and he's like, "Oh no, she touched one of them." And then they never address it later. We're like, "Wait, what?
Does he have 2? But all right.
Or more?" So we cut to back to school, and Elle is trying to convince the OMG girls to do the kissing booth so that lots of other people do it. They say if you get the OMG girls to do it, everyone else will follow. And they're like, "Is Noah doing it?" And Al's like, yeah, Noah's doing it.
But here's the thing. He's not.
Got myself on the floor. Go on.
What is that?
I just wrote it.
All right, so she's basically working her way into a lying scheme, hoping that Noah will change his mind at the end and come work the kissing booth because everyone in the school wants to kiss Noah, and it would make the dance club, the dance club with 2 people who played DDR, it would make them a lot of money because all the girls want to kiss him. So let's just do a hard cut to the carnival.
This is 38 minutes into the movie, and we finally see the kissing booth.
The titular
Kissing
kissing
booth.
booth.
Oh yeah.
First off, this is a carnival for the richest, whitest people.
Yeah, was there
Ever.
a roller coaster there, or was it just a bunch of booths? I feel like it was an actual legitimate carnival that had come to town.
And this was just supposed to be for like school fundraising for the clubs.
Right.
It was elaborate. Even the kissing booth itself. The kissing booth, when I think of a kissing booth, I think of like kids building a thing out of like 4 blocks of wood
It
and
had
then
like
just like a
lights
curtain.
and like professional.
Well,
like,
Yeah.
there was that one point right before the paint fight where he was like, "Oh, build it," and she was like, "I'll paint it," and then cut to like a glamorous, like carnival-esque light bulb spelling out kissing booth.
It was like
Yeah.
Bobby from Queer Eye level of quick turnaround design and build.
So thank you, the one listener who has seen Queer Eye, 13 Reasons Why, and the kissing booth.
Yeah, it had like vanity lighting.
Yeah. I think kissing was spelled out in lights, right?
It was,
was.
yeah.
The hell? That's so expensive.
So the kissing booth is actually like super successful.
There's about a 50-minute montage of teens
Oh my God.
kissing. It's so long.
It
so
is so
long.
long. And it's to the point where it's so long and you're like, I've been watching teenagers make out for about 15 minutes, which is
quote
gross.
unquote teenagers.
No, but here's the thing. The girl is 18. The lead is 18. Noah is only 21 in real life.
Really?
I looked it up.
No.
I looked it up. They're dating.
What?
Yeah.
It's fine. We don't have to talk. Really?
Yeah.
I think he's lying about his age.
And he's Australian.
That's okay. Yeah, they
They
grow
grow
fast.
they grow better there.
Yeah.
Something about the sand. I don't know.
And all the danger around them.
Real quick, during this kissing booth montage, we're introduced to 2 new characters.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
As if the writers were like, oh, I forgot about Jarrett and Ben. Oh.
No, what they really did, they were like, we forgot about gay people.
Yeah.
So did everyone in this world, I guess. Because it must be 1996 in the movie. It can't be 2018.
Yeah.
So they quickly add a non-speaking role where a random gay high schooler notices another hot gay guy.
I guess some guy winks at another guy, and the one guy, who, by the way, is wearing a sweater tied around his shoulders,
Right.
in case you didn't know he was gay. He smiles.
Or at prep school.
Rich in California and
Rich
gay.
and gay in California. He smiles at the guy who winked at him, but almost in a shameful way, like, "Oh, a man winked at me. I hope nobody else saw that."
I'm married.
This is California. We don't do that kind of
Word
thing
gets
here.
around quick. So then they're like, all right, so Lee and Noah's last name is Flynn, and everyone calls Noah Flynn. So Joey King, L, is like, hey, Flynn's up next, and all the girls get real pumped, and then it turns out to be Lee Flynn, not Noah Flynn. All the girls leave except for one girl, a new character named Rachel.
Oh, she has a name.
She has
a name.
and she's so likable.
She seems
And
nice.
she goes up, and she straight up is just kissing away at Lee. He takes off his mask, which is like against the rule. Like all the people getting kissed have masks on.
Right.
Pretty against the rules to take it off. But
But no, everyone else left. It was like
Well,
he
how
was
was he
feeling
supposed
bad.
to know?
He heard all the mean popular girls going like, "Ew, I only pretended to like him so I could get closer to Noah." I felt bad in this moment. There were times, okay, so this movie sucked, but there were times in this movie where I
Spoilers.
was super into it, and this was one of them.
oh, I was entertained the whole time. Which at the end of the day is like, isn't that what you want?
I was not. I did not like this at all.
So she goes up, she gets him, takes off the mask, and she says, "I hope you like what you see." And everyone cheers as if they've been meaning like these two to get together forever. Like finally, Rachel and Lee are together.
They did.
Goal of the film.
There were so many cheers in this movie.
And then, so Lee and Rachel go off together, and Elle's a little bit disappointed, but she remembers rule number 18, always be happy for your best friend.
Your bestie's successes, which
Yeah.
they really, they could have done bestie's successes, and I would have had a slightly better time watching this movie.
And she says, but with Lee, that's never an issue, which is like, okay, so this really is just like platonic. But here we
Yeah,
are an hour into the film, and I'm still thinking it's a will they, won't they, but they've made it very clear that it's not going to happen.
Until it does.
Whoa!
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Until all the hot girls don't want to be kissing nerdy people, so they push Elle into the kissing booth. They give her a mask, and she gets ready to kiss. And who steps in instead of the nerdy guy? Noah.
Noah.
So Noah starts kissing on Elle. And
For
then-
like a long time.
For like
Yeah,
a really
for like a
long
long
time.
time.
It's like a nice steamy kiss.
Do people... Oh, that's right. The kiss is so good that all the lights that spell out kissing booth shatter. The kiss is so magical and amazing,
Yep.
it explodes the kissing
It
booth.
explodes
It just
lighting.
becomes I space N.
So they're making out. She takes off her mask.
Here's what I wanted more than anything in the world. I wanted them to kiss, and because they were like talking and laughing and kissing, I wanted her to take off the mask and for him to go, L? To just have no idea.
I thought you were just a pair of boobs.
Oh my God, you're like my little sister. And he runs away.
But that's not what happens. Ooh, look at that. Time for a little break. Stretch those legs, do some aerobics, and we'll be right back with the Meet Cute.
Oh my God, you're like my little sister. And he runs away.
But that's not what happens.
It's not Vince.
Oh, Vince.
They're kissing and they're liking it. And
They're all like primally out of breath. They're like,
Because of all the heat from the exploded light bulb.
they were startled.
and after they're done kissing for what feels like 47 minutes, she goes, "Everyone just saw that, didn't they?" Yeah.
They did.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
You did that.
Did people
In
cheer
public.
this time too?
I think they were more surprised. They were like, oh my God, him and her.
Oh, yeah.
And at this point in the movie, I paused it and I said,
I thought it was
how
going
much-
to wrap up soon.
I was like, how much time? Because I had no like sense of time with this movie. It was very Bermuda
I
Triangle.
did that a lot. I paused it like, oh, it's got to be over now, right?
So I paused it and there was still 58 minutes left. And I was
Yeah.
like, is this going to be like Into the Woods where you think it's like the first act is like
And then it gets
normal
really
and then it
dark.
gets all fucky in the
Yeah.
second half?
Oh, yeah. I did that a few times, and it was like an hour left, and like 20 minutes left, and then like 17, and I was like, this is impossible.
It was just the longest build-up because when we finally got to the point where they kissed, which is an hour into the movie, then we have to do what like the point of the movie was, which was to have hiding a relationship from your best
He
friend.
gives her a ride home and it's raining too hard and he rides a motorcycle because he's cool.
Yeah.
And they pull over to a shed and they make out and Andrew, the groundskeeper, is like, hey, Noah, I thought I said to stop bringing girls here.
Oi, oi.
Can we look up that actor for a second?
It was Frank Langella. Langella.
Frank
If I had pronounced it right, it would have been funny.
No, it looked familiar. He looked like the guy from Dodgeball, and it can't have been.
I thought he
him.
looked like Robert England, like Freddy Krueger.
Either way,
It just
looked
was
like
Freddy Krueger.
someone.
Hey!
Hey, kids!
Gary Poppins is like, Freddy, come back. We're playing Parcheesi. And then she says, I cannot just be another one of your conquests. Like he's Genghis
Yes.
Khan.
He did. So Elle decides to tell Lee that this happened because she's like, everyone saw it. There's no way I can hide this from my best friend in the world. I have to tell him that this is what happened. It was like no big deal. And you could tell Lee is like hurt, but he decides to be okay with it. And he says, just don't wind up grinding coochies with my brother.
Ah, yes. The thing that you say to your best friend about your brother.
When you're 17 years
You're
old.
17.
This was the same guy who yelled, Geronimo! and jumped off his roof into the pool. So.
Maybe he knows that his brother has several penises, and they're just called coochies.
It's a weird family.
It's a strange mutant family. Anyway,
So then we cut to a beach party. Which seems like a good time. They're sliding down in like a soapy, like some kind of body
slip and
slide.
slide.
It's slip and slide.
Well, kind of.
A
It's more
soapy
like a
body slide? It's slip and
How are you
slide.
pronouncing that? What is it? Slip and slide?
slipe inside.
When I was a kid, we had slip and slide where we would put it in like the yard and there'd be rocks under it. It just hurt.
Ours were just covered in grass all the time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
just-
You just. And it was like maybe 8 feet. So you're like, yeah. All right, now I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, we
Cool.
forgot to add the water.
I had a crazy daisy.
What's that?
Oh, I remember Crazy Daisies.
It was the best, but also very disappointing. It was this daisy, like shaped hose that you put in the ground. It was giant. You put it in the ground.
Giant for kids, meaning
kids.
like 3 feet.
Yeah, it was like 3 feet. You shove it in the ground, and the top was like a hose, so it was like floppy on top, and it had a daisy. It was like looked like a big daisy, and it squirted water. It was a sprinkler, so it would go like this, shoot water, and you just like run around and be like, "I'm playing in a sprinkler."
For those of you listening, Haley just kind of mangled her arm around like she fell asleep and she was trying to get it to wake up, and then said in her full adult voice, "I'm playing in a sprinkler."
I heard that part.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to repeat it.
I always wanted to go out and play with Crazy Daisy. I would have my friends over, but then you would have like 4 girls running around a 3-foot structure, and you would get like a little bit wet because it would be random.
See, we were solidly like middle class, so we just had a sprinkler that we ran through. I had a Crazy Daisy, and that was like the height of luxury.
Oh, yeah.
But then I don't know what happened to it, and so we were like, well, do that sprinkler that you can just step through.
A regular sprinkler is much more effective. The
Oh,
Crazy Daisy
certainly.
was very random.
Certainly, but a Crazy Daisy is fun. It's got the word crazy in it.
And Daisy.
And Daisy. Sprinkler has the word sprink in it.
I think I had a sprinkler. I think it was fun. That's not much of a story for you, but I think I've sprinkled.
So anyway, they're at this beach party that I would never get invited to as a high schooler, never mind a college person. I would never get invited to something like this. This
No.
was like
There was-
spring break, like MTV, like 2003.
There was beer there.
Stuff. Yeah.
It was in broad daylight. There was beer.
Yeah, there were no police reinforcement. They were just okay with underage drinking, I guess.
So the guy who I'm forgetting his name is like Roman.
It's Warren.
Warren.
Oh no.
I wrote it.
He tries to get Elle to go to the hot tub with him, and he's like kind of like pulling her arm, and she's like, "No, I don't want to." And Noah's like, "Leave him alone." And Warren, all of a sudden, I guess when he feels intimidated, he goes into a thick Scottish accent. He had a thick brogue, which was.
Oh no! Please go.
Do it.
I was just gonna
Do it.
No, I'm not.
No, do it.
He was like, "Oh, don't you know? Don't you know that I'm gonna make her go in the hot tub?" For those listening, no, Gerard Butler did not just pop in to do it.
So Noah randomly steps in again. It's like every time she's in trouble, which is like a lot. I feel bad, but at the same time, this is a lot. Like
a lot.
I'm getting sick of Elle being rescued at this point, especially because Noah just keeps coming in and yelling in his like voice. He's like, "Don't touch her!" And I'm like, guys, haven't you learned by now? If you go near Elle, a big man's gonna come and try and kill you.
He's eating like a handful of pebbles. They're all just falling out of his mouth, and he's like, "Oh no!"
Where's the ticket?
Takes a bite of wood.
Where are the drugs in?
So Noah goes to take Elle home, carrying best friend's older brother, I guess. But what happens?
He takes her to the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, he's like,
And
this is like my
He's
special
like, "Listen,"
place.
He goes,
You know,
"I only
the
come-"
Hollywood sign.
He says, "I only come here a lot," which might not be the line, but that's what I think I heard, and it's so funny, so I'm sticking with it.
Let's hope that's the line.
They have sex
Ooh.
in front of one of the L's in the Hollywood sign.
Oh, I get it.
And they're acting like it's this. Oh, that's funny.
No, it's not.
No, it's bad.
No, it's not intentional.
It's not. No, that was a happy accident.
I'm giving them too much credit. They're like, oh, it's our private, sexy spot. No one will be. That's a very popular destination. There is a purposeful hiking trail to go to the Hollywood
so you
sign.
can go up there.
Yes.
Okay. I
People
always just
purposefully go up
assumed
there.
That it was just like a thing that people snuck onto in media.
No,
They were
there's a
like,
hiking
"Ah."
trail. You can hike to the Hollywood sign.
No thanks.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, stop
they
trying to push this on her.
they drive to the Hollywood sign, which I don't think you can do. Anyway,
Write us at meetcutecast@gmail.com. Let
if
us
you've
know.
ever driven to the Hollywood sign, and they do it. And
I think we're coming up on my favorite thing
Ooh.
in this entire movie.
go ahead.
Which is now they have to hide their
Oh, right.
relationship from everyone. And I think we can consider this a montage or just a quick cut of them having to hide in various situations.
Yeah.
But the first one is, oh boy, this is my favorite part of the movie. This is
Tell me.
pure Z-grade slapstick. They're in the room, they're making out. Molly Ringwald knocks on the door. And Noah's like, "Oh, you gotta hide under the bed." So she collects the laundry and lets slip that Noah got into Harvard.
And he wants to hide it for some reason.
Yeah.
Right. He wants to hide the fact that he's going to Harvard for, I don't know, football? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Is he smart?
They've never alluded to him being smart the
He's
whole
reading a
movie.
book earlier
He
on.
reads a book
Oh, he read a
once.
book?
Which, how sad in our, like, current day that reading a book is like, oh, he must be intelligent.
There we go.
Look, he read a book once in the B-roll, so he must be smart.
So anyway, Ella's like, "Oh no, you're going to Harvard," and he's like, "I don't want to talk about it." And then I think they keep making out. Anyway, Lee knocks on the door. It's his turn to enter into this French scene situation, and Noah's like, "Oh no, you got to get out of here, Elle." And so they open the window. They look down. Guess what's down on the ground? A trampoline. Now I know what you're thinking. That's not a real thing that you can do. Guess what? In this movie, she jumps out of what it must be a third-story window, lands on the trampoline, bounces
27 times.
several times against a green screen background, and then falls in the middle of the pool.
In her clothes.
In her clothes. It's fantastic. It's a perfect scene in a garbage pile of a movie.
And then Lee, her best friend, who at this point we're really not like hearing from a lot, even though he's supposed to be like a big part of the movie.
Yeah, is he okay?
He's like, "Oh, why are you wearing your clothes in the pool?" And she's like, "I got excited to swim." And he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then he jumps in his clothes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Geronimo! So there's like, at one point in the montage, they're having sex in one of the science labs, and they notice a video camera, and then you're thinking like, oh, this is going to come back to bite them later. And about a minute later, she gets one of the tapes from the office and like destroys it, and you're like, okay, well, I guess that wasn't
that worked out.
plot point.
And this montage is like 20 minutes long at this point because it's like, I feel like we're getting plot points from this montage.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like they're just having sex a lot, and then
At one
hiding
point,
it.
they're talking after the montage, and Al says, why do you get into all those fights anyway? And Noah says, I guess it's just how I'm wired. I had to see a couple of counselors for it. I don't think there's anything I could do about it. And she says, you're Noah Flynn. I don't think there's much you can't do. And a little bit of interesting, like, sort of like misplaced male aggression.
Nice tete-a-tete.
yeah.
Nice back and forth.
The movie goes nowhere with it.
Oh, no,
Yeah, they don't use what could be like a good thing to address in a movie for young people.
Yeah.
Also, it implies that, once again, he's not that bright. Not that people who fight all the time can't be very smart, but how did he get into Harvard again? Nobody's ever like, you're a biochemistry major. That's going to be great.
Yeah, no one's like, oh, that dissertation you wrote was really impressive, but you should stop fighting people. He's just known as like a jock who rides a
He wears
motorcycle.
the leather jacket. Yeah.
So she falls outside and cuts her face.
Not on a trampoline.
No, that's in like a garage. And Noah's like fixing her up a little bit. And Lee walks in and is like, what's going on here? And she's like, I fell. And he's like, did you hit her? And Noah's like, no, I didn't hit her.
He jumped to that immediately.
Yeah, really.
So
like,
fast,
It
which,
didn't even
like-
look like a punch.
No.
It looked like
It was like a scratch.
a slice, yeah. So he's freaking out, and they almost get into a fight, and it's a whole thing. And eventually they break it up, but then a few minutes later, they're like, tonight's the night that we tell Lee about us. But then Lee walks in,
Oh,
and
boy.
he sees them kissing, and they're not at a kissing booth. They're in private.
They're at a private booth.
They're in a
Well,
private kissing booth.
they're in a room in a house.
Yeah. So Lee storms off. He's very upset. He's driving away. And the last thing he says is, you know, Noah has had everything his entire life when we were growing up. And the one thing that I had that he didn't was you. And now he has that too. And he drove away. But he said it in kind of a way like, I'm going to get revenge. One day I'm going to kill you.
You'll be mine.
I'm going to keep you in a large bug jar in my basement.
Which, like, still reinforces the will they, won't they. Like, oh, I loved you this whole time, but now my brother...
He starts talking like Noah.
Right. You like me now if you can't like me.
So Noah and Elle get into a fight.
Yeah.
And they break up. Part of her point is that she wanted to go after Lee and handle it, and he came down after
right.
and inserted himself into it.
That's right. That's right.
So now there's just like a long stretch where it's Lee and Elle not being friends, and she's sad about it. And Noah's not there because they're like, oh, Noah just disappeared.
Yeah.
Which maybe we should investigate. I don't know. They're like, that
Call the
wild
cops.
spirit. He's just gone. He's trying to get his thoughts together for weeks. Eventually, I guess Lee decides to forgive Elle.
Through dance.
Through dance, not real
Interpretive
dance. Through Dance Revolution.
Yeah, they end up at the same arcade and they play Dance Dance Revolution, and they're like, you know what? We're friends again.
Happy for my bestie.
Let's all,
Go to prom
together. And this prom,
Oh my gosh, this
was
prom.
amazing. It was like thrown by like old rich white men.
This was Columbia University's like 50th reunion of their, like,
Not even,
This was like the
honestly. Like
penthouse
college
of a
reunions
hotel.
aren't that nice. This was amazing.
Ours was in a rental hall. What do you call those?
Yeah, like a catering hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you have like weddings and
this
stuff.
was at like the military academy, right? Did I make that up?
Zach, it was at West Point.
That's a military academy.
Yeah, but it's what that makes it sound like it was just like in like a.
It sucked. We had to clean everything.
Yeah. It was at West Point. It was like beautiful. People spend a lot of money for their weddings there, but it was nowhere as beautiful as this freaking thing.
And they go in, and all the photos that the creepy guy had been taking are all blown up everywhere. And
In black and
everyone's like,
white.
"Oh, creepy guy, that's a good idea." Like
They call him Yearbook Guy. I feel like in the script he's named Yearbook Guy.
And we just forgive him.
for being a.
We're like,
Being a
you
creepo.
were invasive and creepy and like going after vulnerable women who were naked and like, I
This
can't.
is wrong. That
This
was
is
wrong
a
what
bad
you
thing.
did.
And they're all like, you know what? This was good. You're good at being a creep.
The theme of prom is memories, which is not a theme.
No.
Sure isn't.
It is also the theme, maybe, of every prom, really.
Yeah.
The two gay characters from earlier, again, no lines, but they see each other, they laugh, and they start to dance.
So that
So
plot is
pointless. I mean,
done.
I guess. Did they ever kiss?
No, there was no
No.
kissing.
Okay.
We didn't watch till after the credits. So
It was
it's
like
possible.
not a B plot, not a C plot. It was like an F plot. We're like getting all the way down. They're like,
was
we'll just
like
add
a-
another thing with no dialogue.
It was like a thing that if twice in the movie, if you were eating bean dip and you dropped some of the bean dip on the floor and you looked down to wipe it up at two particular times in the movie, you would have never have known this happened.
It's also like if you were maybe a little more conservative and ignorant to like what homosexuality is, maybe you're just like, oh, those two guys are friends now. Like they met at the kissing booth and now they're friends. Like it could be mistaken for that because they never touch. One of them smiles at the other and then they dance. I don't know. Yeah.
It was bizarre.
It was a bad exclusively gay moment. I was hoping for more.
So they turned.
Anyone remember that?
What?
Like, I talk about that all the time. The exclusively gay moment that was like advertised in Beauty and the Beast, the new one.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, there's
yeah.
gonna be an exclusively gay moment, and then you find out it's like
Like Josh
nothing.
Gad like winks at a guy.
Yeah.
I think that's all it was.
No, they actually like dance and
they
touch.
dance, right.
They like romantically dance
but
together.
then he also dances with ladies, right?
I don't know.
Dances with ladies.
Either way,
yes, the
this
sequel to
was
Dances with
this was
Wolves.
as disappointing as that exclusively gay moment.
They go into another room, which is even more memories, including a full recreation of the kissing booth.
Which they had to repair because, if you recall, it exploded
From that hot, saucy kiss.
So this is like
kiss.
months later, and they somehow had the blueprints and all the materials and funds to just recreate the kissing booth. And Lee runs up, and he puts on the mask, and his girlfriend Rachel comes up and kisses him, and it's a sweet
That was
moment.
cute, yeah.
And they all applaud again. Everyone applauds.
They're so into it.
Very supportive
And who shows up?
cast of high schoolers.
Who shows up at this kissing booth?
Uh-oh.
Who do you think? The guy has been missing.
Noah!
Noah. In a tux. He's looking like he's looking good.
He's a good-looking guy.
He's a very good looking guy, and it's a point where I'm like annoyed by it because I'm like, this is a 21-year-old boy.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
a father of four, he really keeps it.
So he's like, Elle, I love you. And Elle runs away.
She's like, I can't do this because her friendship to Lee means so much, and blah blah blah. So she runs away.
Now, it's worth noting, and this is where the timeline gets very bizarre. Lee and Elle's birthday is the same day as prom, and they're having a costume party after prom.
The Is it after prom or is it the day after prom?
It's after prom.
It is after
They
prom.
say.
That's what.
You're right.
So what time was prom?
Prom was like at 5:30 probably, and
Prom wrapped up at 5:30.
because that was an evening party. You're
Yeah.
right.
They have a
My
big
God.
party. I don't know who Elle is supposed to be.
I don't know who either one was
Well,
supposed to
Leo's
be.
Batman.
Yeah.
Kind of. He wasn't wearing the ears.
Yes, he was.
No, he was wearing the mask, but
Oh.
there were no ears
Maybe
on
they
the
couldn't
mask.
get the rights.
You're
They
gonna
were like,
be
"You're a
Batman."
masked guy."
Yeah, I don't know who she was. Like, she was wearing a wig, so she couldn't have been Black Widow. So she was like an agent. It doesn't matter.
So Noah is like, I'm leaving for Boston tomorrow. He tells Lee this. And I'm like, even if you didn't ever tell Lee that, how did he have no inkling of it? You didn't hear his parents talking about it?
Oh, he said he was leaving for Harvard. It's the end of
May.
the school. It's May. What's he gonna do
Okay,
at Harvard?
This
for
is a classic
months?
thing they do in like TV and movies when they need to like, I don't know, move something forward or like get rid of a character. They're like, I'm gonna go to Boston a few months early. I'm gonna move into my dorm 4 months in advance.
You can't do that. That's not allowed at Harvard, probably.
They did it in Glee too. When Rachel Berry got into Juilliard, she was like, I'm gonna move into my dorm 7 months early just to just to prep.
Yeah, that's a lot
So
of crap.
again, if anyone's a overlapping fan of The Kissing Booth, 13 Reasons Why, Glee, and
Queer Eye.
Queer Eye,
Yeah.
we got you.
This is
Thanks
your
for listening.
podcast.
Please email us.
Or follow us on Twitter, meetcutecast.
That's all. Anyway, so back to this costume party.
Elle eventually says, you know what, I can't keep doing this. I can't pretend that I don't love Noah. She
Yeah.
goes to find him, and her and Lee start talking, and she says, you know what, we made up those rules when we were 6.
Yeah.
So it's like saying, like, it's time to adapt to today's needs and standards, which I think is like a cool metaphor for the Constitution.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, maybe that's the point they were trying to make in this bad film.
Yeah, like
It was not, but
no.
it worked out. It worked out.
So he was like, all right, let's go find Noah. And what I thought was going to happen was that it was going to be like a sort of climactic search to find Noah.
And he's like at the Hollywood sign. Is that what you thought?
I wrote in all
right.
caps, he should be at the Hollywood sign. That's his spot. If they're thinking, where would he go to be alone?
Yeah,
and
because in
she's
these
the only one who
movies,
knows, 'cause
in these
she loves
movies,
him.
always one of them has like a spot,
Yeah.
like a special
And
spot
exactly,
where they're
like,
gonna be.
She's the only one who knows. She can meet him there. Romantic. It's perfect. Instead, she gets in the car. Lee, dressed as Batman, gets in the passenger seat. Except it's not Lee. It's Noah.
Like, she couldn't tell. She's seen him naked. Shouldn't she know what the bottom half of his face looks like?
He's also 8 times bigger.
Yeah.
And he sounds like this.
He's the world's biggest man
So
I've
their
ever
big
seen.
reunion is him dressed as Batman in her car going to find him.
And doesn't she say, like, the words like, oh, I'm so surprised, or something along those lines, like, I didn't expect you to be.
What a shocking revelation!
Yeah, she says something very similar to that.
So they have their final moment, and they get back together, and they end up at the gazebo or whatever that was that he took her earlier in the film.
Mm-hmm.
They're kissing. Andrew looks on and gives him a smile.
Oh, boy.
That's the groundskeeper, by the way.
Robert Englund as Andrew.
That's a character who means nothing. And I thought for a second they were going to give him the last shot of the film.
Like, he winks at the camera. And
Yeah. And it,
how
and it goes
amazing.
really small on him, like in
But it's a heart.
like in cartoons.
Or how amazing would it be if he smiled, gave a thumbs up, and then slowly disappeared? Like just disintegrated.
Spider-Man style. Yeah.
So they go to the airport. He's going to Boston. Mm-hmm. And,
Oh, this is like several months later. We're supposed to assume they spent the whole summer
yeah,
together.
she
Like,
says, she's like, we spent every waking
Yeah.
moment together.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So we didn't have to see it.
Yeah.
No.
Thank
Thank
God.
Oh, boy.
God, I couldn't do another 20-minute long montage of them like riding around his motorcycle and like licking soup together. What do couples do? No.
They share food.
We want to get together and lick some soup later. So they say goodbye, and it's kind of an emotional moment. And
Can we say he's leaving for Harvard now? He has no bags.
He's like a duffel
He's
bag.
got like a duffel bag, and his family isn't there. So why is she? Why does she get to drive him to the?
Yeah.
Also, I don't know. Why was it her? Why couldn't his whole family? Why couldn't Molly Ringwald get another minute of screen time to be like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna miss my family?
Lee.
How
and
much
the
money do you
dad.
think Molly Ringwald made for about 7 lines?
I bet she wanted to do this. I bet she was like, oh, Winona Ryder is getting her Netflix game back. Maybe me, Molly Ringwald, should be in something.
I mean, she has a career. She's like been doing stuff the
Yeah,
last few
she's
years.
been in Riverdale.
But I guess like, I don't know. I mean, money's money. At the end of the day, it's Netflix. It is a big. People are watching it. People are talking about it.
We're doing that. So, yeah.
So, I guess the joke's on us. At the end, they leave, and she gets on his motorcycle, I guess. And now
guess.
she's like
It's hers, I guess.
now, yeah.
Yeah.
And now she's a bad motorcycle gal.
And the last line of the movie, as she's thinking on this motorcycle, is, all of this happened just because of a kissing booth. And that's not true. That's not true at all.
And then the Chrysler logo shows up, and it's like, buy a Chrysler motorcycle. Might not even make motorcycles.
Probably not. Harley Davidson does.
Yeah. So then the Harley Davidson logo comes
there
up.
we go. Woo.
I like you're really showing how little you know about motocycles. And you're like, yeah, Chrysler, that's the brand to go to for this joke.
At least I wasn't like, and then the Kellogg's logo shows up. And we cut to black, and the credits start. But
But wait. Also, she says, like, will we stay together? Maybe. But also, maybe not. I'm like,
Well,
cool. So there's that happy ending,
did she
I
drive
guess.
the motorcycle to a recording studio to do the voiceover? Like she was that fresh. She had no new news for us.
That's the kissing booth. And
This gave me an ulcer.
it's like there were things that I thought they were going to be so close to like touching and maybe actually like doing a good job with, like a male-female best friend friendship. That's like a bold way to start like a teen movie, because you're supposed to assume that doesn't happen. But it was done completely wrong. Their relationship wasn't that good.
Their relationship was very much like
Will they, won't they?
early rom-com, like early on in rom-coms where they hate each other,
Yeah.
but they're still flirting. That's
Right.
what their seems to be
That's what-
17-year-old relationship is.
Yeah.
Is just like early what happens in Vegas.
I thought there would be more touching upon like maybe don't sexually assault teenage girls who are like growing up, and we've learned that you're going to be rewarded for that
By
in this
the
movie.
girl.
Like
Yeah.
he got a date. Out
Yeah.
of it.
Like, yeah,
Tepin.
like she spent a lot of money on a very mature dress for him.
And had Lee, and Lee was like, "Yeah, you should go out with him," because he's like, "Yeah, you haven't
What
been on a
kind
date."
of best friend is that? If my best friend
watched it
told
happen.
me to go on a date with someone who sexually assaulted me, ugh.
Yeah, he's like, any person you can go on a date with is good. I'm like, I disagree.
First off, his name is Tepin, so no.
Second, not a good dude. Third, looks like a broken statue.
The movie was bad.
Not a good movie.
Not a good movie.
But it is on Netflix. Feel free to watch it, and if you disagree with any of the points we've made, get at us on Twitter at meetcutecast.
I hope we get like a lot of like really crazy fans of this movie, because you know what? They're out there. Oh, Chachi. Ay, ay, ay.
Rough.
Cheetos.
Welcome to the
Fort Palace.
Thunder Dome.
Dome. Todd and the Wang in the morning.
Welcome to the garden. Please mind the rules. That was a tweet that was going around. It was a sign that said, "Welcome to the garden. Please mind the rules." And the tweet was like, "Man, Guns N' Roses really softened up."
So we're back, and we have here our rating system for all of our romantic comedies. We have got 4 points. We have chemistry, how the best friends in the film were, the romance, and the comedy.
And we're going to be awarding Geronimos to this movie.
0 to 5.
0 to 5 Geronimos.
So, what do we think about the chemistry in this movie?
1
Out of 5, right?
out of 5.
out of
1.
I'm trying to.
I mean,
They felt more like a big brother and a
they did.
friend to me. They felt like funny, pokey pals.
Right. Yeah,
I like don't remember.
which is probably a bad sign. I don't think she can have chemistry with anyone. I didn't feel it on her end. He was very attractive, so maybe that's why I felt it on his end. But I'm going to give it a 1.
So a solid 1. I'm gonna agree.
Solid 1.
So we got a 1 for chemistry. Wow, doing great.
All right. So 3 points total
Points
for chemistry. Moving on to best friends, and this is an interesting one because the friend was a much bigger part of the movie, not
It's
just
like the point of the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm gonna say the best friend. I'm gonna give it 2.5.
That's generous.
No, I'm going to go with... What are the other... There's romance and comedy. You know what? I'm going to give it a 3. I'm going to give it the best
Ooh.
score that I will give these categories, simply because they didn't in the will they won't they, and so I did not expect that, and so maybe good job on Vince's end.
You know what?
guess.
I'll join you because it was an interesting choice because they very could have easily made the best friend another girl, and it would have been an easier movie.
Mm-hmm.
So for innovation,
In fact, it would have been Edge of 17, which I thought about this much of this film. Anyone? Edge of 17?
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld?
oh
Maybe
yeah,
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
How it was kind of like from the other perspective. in a
Right.
way.
It was from quote-unquote Lee's perspective.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, interesting. Good point.
So for innovation, I'll give it a 3. So we've got
8.5
8.5. Yoink!
So next up is romance.
Oh my god.
I thought Lee and Rachel had more chemistry and romance than anyone else.
That is true.
So because of that, I'm going to give it a 1.5.
Okay.
I'll join you. They were a delight to watch. Rachel was a lovely character. She was the one who kissed Lee. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember.
She was nice. I wanted to hear more from her
She's
because
a nice person. Yeah.
when Elle ran away from Noah trying to be like I love you and she ran out, Lee didn't run after her. Her best friend in the entire universe, Rachel, did.
Right. And when Lee was like, "Hey Rachel, it's cool if Elle third wheels at prom," Rachel was like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine," without a hint of malice in her voice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Rachel was a good one. So
She's like the unsung hero of this film.
I want to see her in the sequel. The whole movie from her point of view. So it's like 2 scenes with everyone else.
I feel like the only way I'm giving romance even close to a high score is because he was just a hot guy.
That's not romance.
I
That's
know.
vanity,
Well,
darling.
it's
I know, but it didn't. No, you know what? Here's the thing. They looked wrong together.
They did.
He was the biggest man I've ever seen, and she was so
And
tiny
she
and
was
young.
Beezus or Ramona. Who's to
Yeah.
say?
So what's your score for romance?
God. How about a 2?
2. All right. So
Okay,
we're at
so
5
5.
points for romance. Comedy, 0.
This was not funny.
Was this a comedy? 0. I give it a 0. In fact, I might give it a -1.
There was 2 lines in it that if they were delivered differently, I would have laughed. So part of comedy is delivering it is timing. So that's why I can't even say they were funny because they were not done right. One was the bananas. There's a scene earlier on where the OMG girls are all holding bananas. They have a full conversation, and then when they leave, the peels are there. And Al says, "When did they have time to eat those?" And if it were delivered a little differently or something, that would have been very funny.
That's right. I remember that.
If
Yeah.
this were a very Boz Lerman-y take on what a high school is, that would be very funny and on point, almost actually Scott Pilgrim-y. That could have
yeah.
been.
Where did they go?
Yeah.
And then
But it wasn't a Scott Pilgrim-y movie. It was
Right,
just
right.
bad.
And then the second was the OMG girls later on. They say, "You're one of us now." And she's like, "Oh, thanks, girls." And she says, "You can call us bitches." And like, if she had said that in a different, like a more like casual like way, or
Yeah.
something,
Or if the entire tone of the movie was different,
Yeah.
it would have been really funny.
like that was a funny line, but it wasn't done right, and because of that, I have to give comedy a 0. I didn't laugh.
Nothing was funny about this at all. So good, 0, great.
0, yeah.
So what's our average those at? So this movie got a 5.5 out of 20.
All right. Okay. So what? A nice D.
That's an even score with What Happens in Vegas.
That sounds about right.
That sounds right to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
far we're at 5.5.
Although
I feel like I
vastly
enjoyed this way more.
You enjoyed this?
Yeah.
No, I enjoed What Happens in Vegas way
Oh,
more
no.
because that was at least weird. That was at least
At least Rob Corddry was there.
right. In What Happens in Vegas, I was like, "There's no way can possibly happen in real life." In this, I was like, "This is probably real life, but like the
For rich
whitest."
people?
Yeah, like imagine your problem being like, "Oh, I have to go to Harvard, and I have to, break up with my girlfriend that I have." Anyway,
Oh, no.
that's our time.
Anyway, that's our time. Thank you. You've been great.
We hope that you enjoyed this film as much as we didn't. My name is Zach.
I'm tired.
And I'm also Edward.
I'm Haley.
We'll see you at the kissing booth. Bam.
Now we're just going to kiss, guys. Start doing it.